pansexuals. Sometimes referred to as omnisexuals are those who have sexual, romantic, and/or emotional attraction toward people regardless of their sex or gender identity. While it can be assumed that pansexuality as an orientation has existed since the dawn of humanity, the term pansexual entered the mainstream in the mid-2010s when celebrities like Miley Cyrus and youre publicly identified as pansexual.
Whatever a celebrity can say or do, it must be true!
My name's Anthony Padilla.
Ah, jeez. You know, who's responsible for giving him all these outfits? Last video he was wearing a cheesy denim jacket trying to look cool. Now here he is looking like some kind of punk or emo or something. He basically looks like a store-bought cookie cutter.
How can you tell the difference?
Store-bought ones usually have nicer clothes and all the accessories that go with it. Real punks and goths, for some reason, tend to have no money for that type of stuff.
And today, I'm going to be sitting down with pansexuals to learn the truth behind this sexual orientation that challenges the way many of us view gender, sexuality, attraction, and desire. Is pansexuality a valid sexual orientation that is universally accepted amongst the LGBTQ+ community? Or is it really just a way for sex-hungry individuals to appear woke while sleeping with as many different people as possible?
I'm going for the latter.
Are pansexuals able to live their lives open and proud of their all-inclusive sexual orientation? Or are they constantly bullied and shamed into conforming with society's more traditional views of sex and relationships?
Again, I'm going with the latter here.
Hey, Kai. Hi.
Oh god, his name is Kai. K-Y, Kai. And he says he's pansexual? Oh, that is perfect. That is just perfect. I mean, you guys get it, right? Right?
Hey, Silver!
Oh god, come on! Silver? C-Y for Silver. That sounds like a really cheesy, lazy stripper name. And she's a hippie too! So yeah, that's perfect!
Hey, Guillermo!
Hey, Anthony, nice to meet you.
I got nothing. He's okay.
Thank you so much for coming out and teaching me about the wondrous world of pansexuality.
Definitely.
So what do you consider yourself? Pansexual, omnisexual?
Pansexual.
I'd consider myself pansexual.
I like both terms, but pansexual for sure.
What does being pansexual entail?
Pansexual means someone whose attraction either isn't based off gender at all, like gender just doesn't really play a factor, or that you're attracted to pretty much anyone of any gender identity, anywhere on the gender spectrum, people who aren't on the gender spectrum at all.
So basically any human of legal age.
Yeah.
Which is basically any gender that is not male or female. That's not in the spectrum at all. Because we only have males and females on this planet. Okay?
I can find virtually anyone within my age range cute or, you know, smashable.
How long have you identified as pansexual?
For about 3.5 years now.
I think I learned about pansexuality probably in high school, and that's when I started identifying with that. But I always knew that I wasn't straight.
About 10 years.
Oh, 10 years.
Yeah, like 2011, 2012, I like started learning. Well, actually, it was a friend that taught me about the term.
Oh.
Because I identified as bisexual first in high school, and then she was like curious, like, oh, so like what are your preferences? And I'm like, oh, I like people in general. Like it doesn't matter. And she's like, oh, and then she started talking about.
She's like, there's a term for that. There's a label for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, not really, because you just don't have a specific preference. You just, you're still into guys and girls. And you just don't care. You don't care if maybe like I guess their appearance wise, like if they have a shit ton of tattoos or not, or if they have a lot of piercings, they grow their hair long, they wear a lot of makeup, or they're pudgy, they're twigs, you seem to not care about any of that. You're just like, wait, you're a guy and girl, like I'll still like you, like that kind of thing.
How often do you get asked if being pansexual means that you are attracted to pans and other cooking ware?
All the time, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised!
Probably every time I tell people.
So pans, looking sexy, huh?
Apparently, not necessarily to me.
At least she finds this as a joke and she's laughing it off. I mean, there are people out there who would be very offended by this. No, excuse me, triggered by that.
It's more so a joke in the community more so.
Okay, so it's lighthearted.
Yeah, if a straight person ever asked me that and I knew them personally, I'd probably take it the same.
Oh, so if it was done by a friend that you know, you're okay. But if a stranger does it, you get triggered? Not fucking surprised!
Are there different ways for people to identify as pansexual? Is there a spectrum to it?
A lot of people like to use the term hearts not parts. So
Hearts not parts.
Hearts not parts. It's the parts don't even matter. It's all about the heart.
Boo!
I don't use it a lot because I don't really agree with it personally.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'd say I'm somewhere in the middle of that spectrum because I am attracted to people with pretty much any identity, any biological makeup that they have, but still attracted to the parts, but it doesn't matter what the parts are.
Do you usually find that people think pansexuality and bisexuality are just two different words for the same thing?
Well, it's especially difficult for people who do not recognize more than two genders, and then they automatically translate it as bisexual, even if they even know what that means. But even inside the LGBT community, you know, there's a little bit of strife, and it can be difficult to explain it to someone, especially if they're a bit new, and that's nothing on them, you know. Everyone has to become educated, including myself.
Has to be educated? What the fuck? By the community, instead of actual doctors or teachers that teach us the proper stuff? There's male and female. There's no other genders. And as for the sexuality thing, hetero means straight. Homosexuality means you're like other men. Lesbian means you're like other women. Bisexual means you like male and female. That's it.
It took you becoming educated about that to realize that you even identified with
For sure, yes.
Educated or brainwashed?
Erica Cousins wants to know how you feel about people saying that pansexuals are biphobic.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Bisexuality and pansexuality are so similar. We're basically sister sexualities. We should be supporting each other. You know, the differences are kind of gray, but they matter. They matter to people.
Then why don't you just stick with being a bisexual, since that is a more legit, concise, you know, term with a proper definition that goes towards it, instead of just making up a random sexuality and then calling it that and saying, well, it's the same as that, but we like this one better. This is more of that, I guess a schoolyard bullshit where you try to be more special than someone else.
Do you openly tell people you're pansexual, or is that kept more of a secret?
Yeah, no, I openly tell people.
And I'm sure the response is,
I have to go over here now.
To some people, in some ways. My family, I'm closeted in some ways. They kind of know something's going on, but I never really take the time to explain it because I'm quite certain it'll go over their heads, and I'm very certain they won't agree with it.
well, do you converse with your parents a lot? Just by your hairstyle, it looks like either they don't give a shit or they just, you know, they tried and they're like, I give up. Go ahead and look like you're in bed all day. Go ahead. I mean, yeah, to the parents, yeah, it would be important to sit down with your kid and talk about that for a bit, but then here you are coming in with this weird term that they don't have no clue what you're talking about, and you're basically, you know, just blowing their minds, and they're like, now what do I do?
But now you're wearing a pansexual shirt in front of the world.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm pansexual. No, that doesn't mean I'm into you. So, you're a bisexual with certain preferences. Gotcha!
Is this potentially coming out to certain people, this video?
Definitely my conservative community.
What would you like to say to the conservative community out there?
I'm not trying to f any of you.
Well, thank God for that. I mean, we can only handle one virus at a time. Speaking of which, hey, mainstream media, how about you tone it down completely, you jackasses?
Have societal pressures ever made you question your own sexuality?
I was once a leader of an online gaming group where we actually shared the word, and I was essentially a religious cult leader for about 4 years, which is incredible. One of my friends pretended to commit suicide, and I genuinely thought they were dead. That was the moment I was questioning everything and actually being skeptical about the Bible and doing my research, not just doing the circular thinking of it's in the Bible, so it's true. And that me becoming an atheist first definitely opened the door for me to become pansexual and accept who I was.
Damn. So, your friend did a really stupid practical joke on you, and that kind of messed you up? Your friend's kind of a dick, man.
Why do you think it's so difficult for some people to grasp the concept of pansexuality?
I think it definitely has to do with like how new of a term it is. Just because it's a new term doesn't mean it's a new concept. It's just a better way of categorizing how, you know, how we feel, how we identify.
You know, making things sound more complicated, therefore it makes us smarter because we know more stuff and probably use bigger words than the normal person would. I mean, seriously, this is all what it is. Instead of using the actual terms, which are, they're basically simplified and understood, you want to make things more complicated by adding more stuff to a word, and not just any word, a new word, and just rattle our brains with it and try to make us think more. It's like, no, I'm not going to accept that.
And in giving a new way for people to categorize and label themselves, what you're really doing is allowing people to identify with the community and feel accepted.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part of it. You know, you want to. It's everyone's trying to find their own identity and you know, just trying to get some grasp of who they are.
Especially when there are people out there that change their term willy-nilly without warning, unless we are following them on Twitter or something, or Instagram or some shit like that. I think there's more to it than just being accepted. To me, it's more like you're going for demand and respect to be, you know, to be identified as this, and if not, you're a jerk for not accepting my labeling terminology. You know, that kind of crap.
How do you feel about people assuming pansexuals are innately promiscuous?
I can tell you that as a virgin, it's not at all true.
Well, I'm not surprised.
What's something you wish you could say to anyone watching who is questioning pansexuality as a valid sexual orientation?
Let's not be judgmental. We're all here in this world together, just trying to, you know, live.
Sorry, but judging and being rational is how we live.
I wonder if your orientation is valid, because I don't understand it either, to be honest. I really don't. I don't understand how you couldn't want to just be with all the 7 billion people.
You do realize that you're including people who would have you killed on the spot if you're not wearing a piece of cloth around your face or your hands or your legs, you know, not showing any skin, because apparently, according to their religion, it is wrong. And you're also including people who may not like what you have between your legs. They prefer the opposite of what's between the legs.
No Face 69 wants to know, you know, when you are in a straight-facing relationship, do people now assume that you must now be straight?
I have been in quite a few straight-facing relationships. Right now, I'm actually dating someone who is pansexual.
Oh,
it's quite exciting, but she's a girl, and while I'm not a guy, I definitely look like one, so...
You what?
I'm not a guy, I definitely look like one, so...
Well, this further explains why you don't talk to your parents about this. Not only do you identify as you have a certain sexuality, you don't even identify as a guy? Oh my god. Is your family broken? Is it that broken? You know, like a freaking china shop already run over by a bull? My god. Talk about mind blow, man. Oh, it's a good thing I took a leave this morning.
People would see us and they would just automatically go, they're straight.
Yeah.
Old Padilla here seems to be okay with all this. I mean, once he said about, you know, not being a guy or something, even though he looks like a guy, Anthony was pretty cool about it. He kept his cool. Either that or he's really holding it in so that, you know, after the interview, he could just go to the crew and be like, what the fuck did we just talk to? Oh, God.
Definitely, people think, you know, like, oh, okay, so you're cured, or, you know, you're straight
really?
now.
So when you date a woman, people think that you're cured?
I've had one friend say that. It was like, oh, so you're not, you know, into it anymore? I'm like, no, dude.
You're like,
not...
literally the definition means that I can and I'm open to anything.
Right, like, just as, like, if I was dating, you know, someone who identifies as a man, it wouldn't make me homosexual. I just, you know, I'm still pan, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure your friend was joking with you, and it just went right over your head. You're not very good friends with this guy, are you?
Kilowatt wants to know if there's any major turn-ons or turn-offs that have nothing to do with gender.
Well, I have a sexual answer first.
Okay.
Big fan of ass. Everyone has an ass. But also, personality means a lot to me. You know, I could find you insanely sexually attractive and then actually talk to you, and I'm like, wow, I don't like you at all.
Yeah, that happens with everybody. I mean, one person would find another person like, wow, this person is really attractive. I'm gonna go talk to that person real quick. And you do a little conversation, and then, I don't know, for the hell of it, you threw in a Futurama quote in there. And the other person is like, what? Where's that from? And I guess at that point, you're like, all right, done. I'm out. Have a good night. I'm out of here. You know, it happens.
If someone can sing and play the guitar, like that is like...
And do you have any turn-offs where it's just like, that's a human thing that I'm not into?
Trump supporters.
Fuck off, you fucking fucker!
What do you say to people who say that pansexuality is just a phase?
I think that's just a very confused belief too. There's that assumption about bisexuals and about pansexuals that we're just confused, that we just can't make up our mind or we can't decide. I think there's a lot of people that just expect that I'm gonna just end up in a heterosexual relationship and marry a man one day and do all these things, which very well could happen, but even if I do that, I'm still pansexual. I'm always gonna be attracted to women, probably a little bit more than men, to be honest.
Well, if that's the case, then why are you thinking about being married to the guy when you're going to be more into women? I mean, you do know there is same-sex marriage, right? If you're more into women and you find one, go ahead and marry a chick. We don't care. Why would you want to make your relationship, you know, more complicated when you have a preference to one gender than the one that you're married to? I don't get it.
Some things can be just a phase, and it really is just you trying to figure out yourself. If at one point pansexual makes more sense to you, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, you're not set on one thing.
Right.
And being a phase is often frowned upon, but that's not something that's bad. You know, people change.
Well, if that's the case, then when do we see you change out of this idea that you're a pansexual and you're just back to being, you know, just a heterosexual male? When's that going to change? I'll sit and wait.
Why do you think so many people have such harsh judgments against people who identify as pansexual?
I think some people, they're just attracted to one certain thing. So the idea of being attracted to multiple things just doesn't compute for them. It doesn't make sense at all.
Oh, so we're things now, is it? I thought we were humans. But it turns out that, you know, there are other things that we could be attracted to. What things are we talking about? Like alternators or speakers or rolled up toilet paper? Speaking of toilet paper, mainstream media, keep it down.
Like, even I went through a moment in my life where I questioned the idea of, am I only considering myself straight because that's what society has told me is the norm? So, you know, I opened myself up to the idea, and then very quickly realized, yes, I am very straight. This is the way that I am hardwired. This is the way that my body reacts to different people, different genders, and there's really nothing I can do about that. But I also allowed myself to question that.
Well, did this happen during high school? Because around that age, that's usually when that kind of stuff kicks in. The hormones, the sex drive and all that. And also, you know, experimenting. That's like, you go see someone and, oh, something's happening between your legs. I guess that means that your body's saying that you like this. And then you experiment. You try other things. If anything happens down there, I guess there's your solution.
What is it about being pansexual that brings you the most joy?
All the options.
Finding the term pansexual has just uplifted my spirits from beyond. You know, like, labels don't mean everything, but they certainly help. And finding the term for it has just elevated me. I'm like, so I'm not this horny mess that just loves everyone.
Yeah, you are. You just found an excuse.
What do you think the biggest misconception about pansexuality is?
Just the fact that it's someone who's still deciding. You know, people that don't see it as this is my clear identity, they see it as I'm still flip-flopping back and forth and still deciding.
I could see if someone is trying to find someone who has a similar, you know, interests as you, and you want to be in a committed relationship with that person. But gender-wise, you know, it really falls on like who you want to be with the most, and it's going to be either, you know, a male or female. I mean, you can't be married to both. But yeah, really, in a physical sense, you want to see, I guess, which gender you're attracted to the most, and let your biology, you know, take care of that. You know, your brain and, you know, what's going on down there, and then you'll see what happens. Well, anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys managed to watch it longer than I have. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Oh god, KY is his name. Loop joke.